Well, right now we're on a tech talk on analytics in the smart city. And we have with us our speaker, Edward Gerges, the Principal Advisory Manager, SAS. Well, Edward is a management consultant, executive advisor, and a business director specializing in digitalization across EME, most recently leading initiatives to support telcos and banks in extracting value from advanced analytics insights. So ladies and gentlemen, now it is time to bring Edward to the World AI Show. Thank you so much, Edward, for joining us. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Just start sharing the screen. All right. Clear? Good. So great. So good morning all again, and thank you, Dr. Akram, for this insightful viewpoint. I hope all of you and your families stay safe during these challenging times. We have to do this remotely, but we'll try to make the most of these times, I guess. So let me start by saying that the next 20 minutes today, I won't be wowing you with a glimpse into the future. We won't really talk much about the rosy analytics-centric world where your respective organizations will be able to treble revenues by knowing your customers' favorite food chain and weekend habits, or reduce crime by knowing your citizens' affinity to the newest gang. I want to start the day off from a place where we believe we're all familiar with, but yet surprisingly often forget to acknowledge as we appease shareholders, budget owners, and the ever-relentless enemy, which is time. We'll be talking a bit about data platforms, quite a lot about data platforms, which no comprehensive AI ambition can hope to realize without. And we'll be talking about the imperativeness of building your AI strategy bottom-up, ensuring your entire organization goes on a journey of analytics maturity and not just looks for a flagship AI use case without really taking the organization forward. I'm sure I can talk a bit about those later on in the panel, maybe with straight immediately after this presentation. So that's a long introduction, but we're now aligned. So don't blame me for talking a little bit too much about data and platforms. Now for just 3 introduction slides about SaaS. So hopefully you'll touch base later on and discuss this further. So back in 1976, few organizations were thinking about analytics much. That was the year SaaS was created. So to help governments and private sector discover previously impossible insights, tackle seemingly insurmountable challenges, and save surprising amounts of money using a resource that even back then many organizations had in abundance, data. Having our roots in data allowed us to develop analytics platforms to serve those sectors that you see here, and many, many others as well, with fate-defining AI insights. Right, I'll power through as quickly as I can. 44 years young, ever-growing, alhamdulillah, as you can see, year-on-year growth. Last year, we hit $3.1 billion revenue. We're serving 99% of the Fortune Global 500 list, retaining 96% annually, because we're thankfully trusted partners and not just vendors. I think this stems from the fact that we generally aim to serve and we're privately held. In fact, the largest privately held software company in the world, and one that thankfully invests not only in its people, but also in the second most core asset, AI. So between 2009 and next year, we would have spent 3.75 billion Saudi riyals into AI. And this is not just into technology, although this innovation plays a big part in the management vision, including computer vision, NLP, and ML. We're also specialist service providers. I can personally attest to the other 2 points here, having been on the receiving end of extensive training programs as a SaaS customer. So much so that I often wondered if this company was even profitable. And lastly, I'm not the only former management consultant in the company has hired recently, helping to really extract customers' pain points and helping define and navigate a vision towards analytics excellence. Right, that's all from the SaaS introduction. I hope that was quick. Now, as promised, the analytics platform and the journey of a city. All right, allow me to state the obvious. Data is a very valuable asset. Using our data can help the government save money, improve the service it provides, make more accurate projections, and even save lives. In addition to being an asset, data is quickly becoming a commodity. Companies are selling the data that we provide through our internet searches, our grocery shopping, and the movement of our mobile phones as we drive along our cities. So not only do our local governments need to think about the benefits we can achieve from using our data, we also need to consider how the commoditization of that data will affect operations of our towns. Will we be buying in order to operate? Will we be selling data as a means of revenue? Because smart city technologies are about collecting data, communicating data, and crunching data. You can see that data is the backbone of the smart city. Managing and analyzing your data will allow you to maximize the use of the data your departments collect without being overwhelmed. I spoke earlier about veering away from depending on flagship AI use cases. Well, if I ran a city, I'd want all of these green arrows that you see here, not just one of them, to be on my agenda. So as promised, now we'll talk about the key facilitators of this, which is the flexible, scalable, and trustworthy analytics platform. Right, so 40 years ago, most local governments were not thinking about their assets. So except the ones that we were probably dealing with. So they were beginning to collect it, churn it, and store it. 10 years ago, we were all becoming aware that we have a lot of data stored, so much data that it seemed overwhelming to put most of it into use. You've heard of big data, of course. We all have big data now, but the data is increasing day by day as our systems collect and use this data from automated devices and the internet. So very often, the marker of success is seen by companies as the vendor's ability to handle big data. Of course, this is not entirely true. Volume is just one of the dimensions. So governments have many functions and responsibilities. You've got big data, as we said, for things like property records, but we also have many other types. So complex data like crime data, fast data like information coming from water or electric meters, unstructured data from sources such as tweets, arrests, reports, and survey responses, geographic data such as coordinates tied to accident reports, and transparent data like data pulled from other governments' open data. Here comes the gold that we sometimes overlook. Rather than having many separate analytics packages that work with the different data types, it is exponentially more value to have a way to combine and process all of these types of data that are generated by many different sources. But if your government looks like this, you're not alone. So most cities and countries in the world are challenged by the siloed environment. It's actually completely logical that we get to this point. Our governments provide a wide variety of services and use a wide variety of infrastructures. Departments have unique purposes and consequently have specific software and technology that help them accomplish their vision. As a result, you have data that is being collected and stored within the department. In most cases, that data is not shared with other departments, sometimes not even within the same department, which is quite sad. In fact, other departments might be collecting duplicate data within their own software system, maybe investing billions of public funds annually to do so. Some large organizations do the same. With the advent of new smart city solutions, many local governments have begun to implement new technologies that are further perpetuating this siloed environment. We spoke about the flagship use case pandemic earlier. This is a big problem. The problem has a solution, however. Again, not only for governments, but also data-rich companies. The solution is to have analytics platform for the entire organization, something referred to as enterprise-wide use of analytics. An analytics platform with a software foundation that's engineered to generate insights from the data across your organization. That is different from a flagship use case that is designed for one cross-data source application. Let's think about that. This platform supports every phase of the analytics lifecycle, from the integration of the data to the discovery of insights, and it can accommodate data of any volume or velocity, which, as I mentioned before, is critical as smart technologies generate more and more faster clip rates. For example, a medium-sized city may have 70,000 automated meters that collect and communicate to City Hall each user's consumption information every hour. So that's 1,680,000 data points in a day. That's about 613 million data points in a year. That's just water consumption. Is this a challenge? Yes. Is it valuable? Very much so. With hourly consumption information, the city can alert customers when his meter is reporting an anomalous water usage. That could be a hose that's left on, or a water boiler that's burst. The sustainability department cares. This granular data can reveal inappropriate use of water. The utilities director definitely cares. He can see this information to plan for future plant expansions. But does your police department care? Well, in one city in the US, this water usage information was used by the police department to understand whether more people came in to visit in the weekends or went out on vacation. They use this information to appropriately deploy officers, in this case, to drive through and check on neighborhoods that have left empty houses. I don't know if it's just me, but I think that even the smallest, seemingly most unimportant data point has the potential to transform an entirely non-adjacent field. But that can only happen when it's made available and is leveraged. So a very quick slide here about smart cities. So data, discovery, and deployment. These are all capabilities which a platform must have. So we must ensure that data is not only captured and stored for use, but can be quickly analyzed. And here are some examples just to give you some contextualization so that we're not too academic. All right. Form analytics from simple reporting and queries to intricate optimization models. You can have findings for a variety of audiences with reports and visualizations customized for your users. There's more. What starts as an alerting use case can be fused with a statistical analysis, for example, to feed a predictive model. The permutations are practically endless. And in my experience with this, analytics maturity is elevated among all employees, not just the analytics team. It helps when the platform is heavily visual and user-friendly. When you merge your data from across your organization, you unlock stores of previously unidentified information. And you go through a process that is critical for a smart city. You establish rules and policies around your data, because to be able to merge your data, you have to clean your data. Cleaning the data means that you identify people, places, events, and things consistently, regardless of the software or means of collecting the data. The data rules you put in place as part of the data cleansing process will ensure the future data is collected in a way that maintains consistency and accuracy. The analytics experience that you can have afterward is empowering. And if you're like me, I'd be comparing it to like a child in the sweet store. If the idea of merging and cleaning your data feels overwhelming, it's because it is actually overwhelming. It's a huge task. For this reason, we usually suggest the process of merging and using data in parts. In other words, think big, but start small. So having a plan that's collaborated with a trusted partner to eventually have an enterprise-wide use of data, but start with a few systems or data from a few departments. To do this, it helps to be able to have a scalable analytics platform that can expand as you use more and more of your data. Having a scalable analytics platform is also valuable given the growth of data being generated by organizations and citizens. So we are only at the beginning of the analytics-hungry era. So those governments and companies who are ready to scale are the ones that will thrive into the next decade, while those that think quick fix will struggle to grow and develop. And we've mentioned trustworthiness. So at the fundamental level, you need to be able to trust your analysis. And I think Dr. Akram mentioned this many times. And the result that you get from it. So a trustworthy analytics platform uses tried and true algorithms that appropriately turn your data information. But trustworthiness goes beyond having a solid scientific foundation. You get peace of mind, not only knowing that you can trust the results, but by being able to trust the security of your system. Now, for those of you who are hearing the news about security breaches, both in the private and public sectors, you are, of course, particularly concerned about protecting your organizations and your citizens' data. Having a secure database and secure use of data is essential. It's more difficult to ensure this security if you're running several different analytic systems. Having one trustworthy analytics platform will protect your organization from data breaches that could hijack, expose, and weaken your system. Also, citizens want to know that you are responsible in the use of your data. A trustworthy analytics platform with good governance rules, secure storage, and uses techniques and that ensures that the right people have the right access at the right time. Right, as you recall, we discussed the variety of data that the organization handles and will handle in the future. Now let's talk a little bit about the incredible advancements in analytics software that will allow your organization to process these different types of data. These technologies will allow you to find efficiencies and tackle issues that would have been impossible even a few years ago. Now that I have hopefully reaffirmed the fundamental need to build AI strategy bottom up, let's talk about techniques and their use cases before we move to the panel. We'll go through as many as time permits, and please stop me whenever time is short, because I'll keep going otherwise. And then we'll take questions later on in the day if we're short on time, which we probably are. Right. We talked a lot, and some people may think too much about cleaning data and setting up rules for collecting and storing our data, all of which is easier now with the advent of entity resolution software. This software is used to reconcile your many different data sets, as well as multiple records of a single person, event, or object. In this example, the many records of Khalid al-Anazi are resolved so that you have an understanding of his interaction with his government or organization. This is particularly important if you're hoping to have a single view of each citizen that incorporates every interaction your organization has with that person. Or if your law enforcement agency uses many different systems, for example. We can take this further if we consider video resolution, where we can match faces, groups, number plates against blacklisted lists, which in particularly is useful in areas such as critical infrastructure threat. Link analysis accomplishes what we've seen so many times on crime shows, where the officer draws lines across the whiteboard and connecting different events with different dots with different people. Link analysis software is incredibly robust, so it can link the people, the places, the objects, the events from millions of records to give on-demand information to officers, social workers, investigators. Not only does this shed light on previously indiscernible matters, but each link search saves countless man-hours as well. So a relevant example here is the COVID infections that we're plagued with at the moment, where we not only look at people's direct contact circles, but also indirect ones, for example, occupying the same seat on a plane each side of the journey leg. Event stream processing allows data to be analyzed at the point of collection. Sensors and meters collect data at quick intervals. So the ESP technology evaluates the data, discerns what information is necessary to store and produce actionable information. This empowers you to have real-time information necessary for automated water systems, building management systems, traffic control systems, and predictive maintenance. A good use of this is also in advertising, where digital signage becomes dynamic and dependent on time of day, footfall, and peak interest clusters. Another is in the dynamic traffic light switching, a favorite for anyone stuck on a red light at night with no vehicle around for the nearest kilometer. So asset performance analytics will transform how government and the private sector manage their assets by installing sensors on the components of devices, using event stream processing to gather and analyze incoming data, and applying asset performance analytics. Asset managers will be able to identify, repair, or replace failing mechanical components before the asset fails. This improves response times, reduces downtime of the assets, and saves money. So if the organization manages buildings, especially in remote locations, has a fleet of vehicles, or runs a transit system, asset performance analysis will help you maximize your capital investment and maintenance crews. A similar case can be found for the telecom sector, where telecom cabinets are monitored for temperature, dust, humidity, helping the prediction of cabinet faults, avoiding hundreds of expensive trouble tickets before they occur. And we're almost done. So perhaps one of the most challenging and untapped data resources available to governments is the unstructured data. So the unstructured data here is where there's text that is written in the staff report, in the citizen survey, in the employee records, and on the internet. So the analytics can be used to identify the key use words and the sentiment of the situation in which the word is used. It is being used to prompt informed decision making and actions. Governments are using this technology to rapidly respond to inputs from citizens, understand emerging trends, and gather information from criminal investigations. So analysis can bring deep understanding to your geographic data and maps. By integrating Esri, SAS, for example, expands your ability to analyze your spatial information. The Esri and SAS tool helps utilize public works, utilities, public works, law enforcement, parks, planning and transportation departments, process location, specific information. And finally, governments around the world are being asked or mandated in cases to share their data with citizens, while many are putting tables of data out for consumption by tech-savvy citizens, and other local governments are choosing to present their data for exploration by non-technical citizens. So SAS's analytics platform can be used to create simple analytic exploration around key topics of interest. In this slide, for example, a university has uploaded its admissions information onto the web, so prospective students, donors, alumni can query and analyze its admission practices. In the spirit of collaboration, it's been a pleasure sharing this view with you. If you may, I will ask you to put your questions in writing on the chat or by email, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edward, for joining us today on the World AI Show. It was really great to see the entire SAS presentation and what you have in mind. And I'm sure a lot of our attendees would love to interact with you on the same. But once again, a big, big thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone.